Hello everyone, super excited to show you today Ocean Swift's instrument Dystopia Diary. Dystopia Diary, it's way more than just like a normal instrument. It's something in between an instrument, a sample pack, a sound design playground, a soundscaping tool, a game perhaps a little bit. Yeah, and just a very interesting and unique kind of way to interact with sound. There's a couple of things here that make this unique. The first thing I want to really quickly just get out of the way is everything that you'll see here, all the samples that are available in this instrument, they are all available to you as WAV files as well. That means you don't have to use the Dystopia Diary engine. You can use just the samples. Once you install this instrument, it's available to you on your hard drive, and you can just use it anywhere. Take them to your DAW, take them to granular synths, take them to your game engines, take them to your video projects, do anything you want with the samples in a creative way. Let's get back to the instrument itself. Once we launch it, we load the instrument. We're here in Kontakt's Kontakt 8's latest side browser, and we can see that we have all our snapshots available here. The instrument already comes with hundreds of snapshots as of this video's filming, but many more are planned. There are a couple of updates planned, which will bring even hundreds of more snapshots to this instrument. So depending on when you're watching this video, it could be that there are there's even more content than what I'm going to be showing here. So all our presets are available over here, categorized a little bit into the different types of things that they can do. Right now we have loaded the instrument itself. It has a preset already kind of that it comes with, that it loads with. And I'm going to go really quickly here to the edit page, and I'm going to be playing 5 or 10 seconds from this sound. You will see what is going on. It'll already drive the imagination, and then let's talk about it. So as you can see, out of the 6 layers that this instrument has, 4 are turned on in the snapshots and they are playing. And you heard various sounds, right? You heard this sort of drone sound, you heard some dog noises, you heard some insects, and they're all different layers that are kind of interacting and playing together. And really an interesting thing about this instrument is that some of these samples are very, very long. So you see in this particular preset, there's a sample that is 2 minutes 14, one is 34 seconds, 42 seconds, 2 minutes 51 seconds. And there's even samples in this instrument that are 9 minutes and even longer. Not all the samples are that long. You can see here on layer 6, there is a sample that is just 5 seconds long. So it's kind of all over, but really different lengths, and it really goes into really, really long territory. That's kind of what I want to say. And that is the essence of this instrument. You play a bunch of samples up to 6 layers from a bunch of different categories, and you can, the way you layer them and the way that you can interact with the sounds allows you to create these really elaborate scenes and soundscapes that are kind of really evolving over time, right? Like if you got things that are 9 minutes long. And then an important thing to note here, so all the samples are perfectly looping. So from start to end, you can really kind of loop them on and on and on for hours. So if you take just this end search and just solo it, once you reach the end, it will very naturally go back to the beginning, unnoticeable to the layman, to the normal listener. And that goes for all these samples. So imagine you're playing all these samples and there are different lengths. So at first, the first time you're going by, right, the first layer is going to be somewhere here, and as well as the other layers, they're all going to be kind of in the same spot, but they're quickly going to change spots, right, because they're longer and shorter, and they're all looping, and the variation is kind of going on forever, right? There's always going to be spots where different areas of these 4 samples, in this case, are playing at the same time. So I think, yeah, you really get the basic idea already. Now let's dive a little bit deeper into what is going on here. So each layer has its own controls, right? So, and they're all the same, obviously. So you have volume, pan, tune, fine tune, loop start, loop end, a static filter that helps you sculpt the sound a little bit and place it in the mix. Maybe you want to take something off the top or you want to take something off the bottom. Volume and pitch LFO, which really help you to kind of get things in and out of the mix over time. If you do it like really slowly, you can evolve. You can have these dog noises really kind of coming in and out of the mix over a long, long time, that you hear them more, that you hear them less, maybe you barely hear them at all. And same goes for the pitch. You can slowly kind of change the pitch of these samples as they ebb and flow through the mix and paint the sonic picture. You have a stereo effect, which is kind of like a detuner spreader. And you have lo-fi, where you can bit quantize and sample rate reduce and get that, typical sizzle. And then to the important thing. The important thing is really the samples. So each layer has all these categories within the layers. And each category represents a little bit of a different thinking in relation to sound and different source material. So maybe the most kind of interesting category is the carpets category. Carpets category has samples that are already mixed down. So imagine taking this whole scene, for example, that we're playing right here. So imagine recording that, all these layers together for 4 or 5 minutes, and then placing that into this carpets category. So this is basically what this category is. It's not always 6 samples together. It could be 2 samples. It could be 3. It could be different things. But the whole point is that there's a lot of layering in this carpets category, and usually it's pretty long samples. The other categories, I don't want to go into like detail of like checking each and every sound, but there's industry sounds. So if we go quickly, construction sounds, factory sounds. This preset actually has an effect turned on. What if we do something like this? Let's go into our init bank and open a very, very initialized preset. So if I play a sound, at least it's not going to play any effects. It's going to be very clean. So industry sounds, we have a category of military sounds, which includes things like helicopters, planes, UVs, fires, fireworks, explosions and tanks and sirens, and etc. Then we have the noise category, which includes analog noises, digital noises, radio statics, and untuned sort of filtered noise drones, etc., etc. We have the outside category. We have stuff like sounds from the beach, birds, cowbells, birds and insects, things mixed in together, kids, rain samples, storms, water samples, and lots more. Then we have the chatter category, which is all sorts of weirdness caught over Eurorack modules that are radios. So Eurorack radio modules for shortwave AM and FM radios. I have 3 of these modules really going into this Eurorack system mixed with filters and just, weird stuff going on. Some of them are very clean. Some of them are more dirty. It's like, the whole essence of radio transmissions. Oftentimes you have all this sort of phasing and ring modulation and this really weird radio stuff. But not only. So in the chatter category, you can also find prayers, you can find police scanners, and you can even find really old open source public domain videos from the 1950s.
The total of an atom's protons and neutrons is its atomic weight.
And all sorts of things like that. In the twilight category, this is one of my favorite categories. This is similarly, when I discuss the chatter category, this is also a category that is built solely off of radio sounds, but not chatter, just all the other stuff that comes over the radio waves. So all sorts of weirdness, from Morse code to digital transmissions to navigation tones to just weirdness going on the radio waves. Yeah, we use the URAC modules for this category, but also software-defined radios. So SDRs, some of them are available online. There's really, really cool stuff here. So all this is purely radio. Now again, right now, maybe in isolation, you're like, okay, yeah, what the fuck? What do you mean? What's so cool about this? We'll hear some presets later and you'll see how this all interacts together. This Twilight category has also some other cool stuff like and again, this is all pure radio. This stuff is not really edited even. This is just what was coming in over the airwaves. Yeah, a little bit through the Eurorack, but like not just extra synth and stuff like that. It's purely, this stuff somehow amazes me sometimes. Like it sounds like someone made it with the Eurorack, but the Eurorack was just like, yeah, filters and stuff. Nothing, like this is the synthesis, quote unquote, that comes directly from the radio. Moving on, we have a category for transport. There's some bus sounds, some highway sounds, some train sounds, etc., etc. And then we have some extra sounds that are, all this was kind of field recordings in a way, right? Even the radio stuff. But we have some synth categories where these were recorded from all the other Ocean Swift products. So our DSP synths for the Sonicor Scope platform and others, where we recorded lots of our sounds, our own creations, re-recorded them, looped them into this context, and you have a bunch of tuned and untuned sort of samples that are conducive to this kind of stuff. So what do I mean? Just lots of samples that are tonal and synthetic in character. Which brings me to another point. As you see now, this is a monophonic synth. It's not meant to be played polyphonically. If I play one note, and then I go to the other note, it's just simply going to play that last one note that we're holding. And this is actually the point, right? Because you're playing these really long samples. Again, we talked about this. You're not really intending to kind of, yeah, like play a piano over here. But what you can do is with the noise, it depends what you want to do. But with the noise, maybe you don't want to track the keyboard, but maybe with some of these tune samples you do. So if you want to, you can. So if I have fixed off and now I'm playing this particular tune sample, it's not following the keyboard. I can turn it on. And then it does follow the keyboard. Maybe I want it that way, you know. Maybe I want to have like a carpet over here. So maybe one thing is untracked, maybe other things are not untracked. Really up to you. I tend to use these atmospheres untracked in a tonal sort of way underneath some stuff just to really create a scene. We'll look at some presets in a bit. Similarly, so we have tuned, we have untuned where it's again synthetic stuff, but not exactly tuned. So we can immediately understand what that means if we play one. Maybe the pitch is swaying, maybe there's more than one tone. So these are more sort of drones in their own right. So really, again, all sorts of atmospheres. The last category in this kind of area is Porphyria. What we did here is sort of inception. We took our Porphyria hybrid synthesizer. We sampled all the factory snapshots, the presets. We selected what we liked, and we looped the resulting samples, and we created samples that are relevant for Dystopia Diary out of the presets in Porphyria hybrid. So it's kind of like an inception of our synthesis. And there's lots of cool stuff here as well. Again, this is of tonal character. The last category to talk about is the Elmut category. Elmut is actually my ambient pseudonym from many, many years ago, from over 20 years ago. I made these sort of drone field recording ambient CDs. They were available only on CD. We ripped those CDs. We took, all the sounds, all the tracks, let's say, saw what we liked, made our selections and curation, looped what we liked, and put it into into Dystopia Diary to be used as samples in this instrument. And I think this category is quite interesting because, there's pretty sick stuff in here. So it goes from all over the place. So from stuff like that to stuff like this. To stuff like this. To stuff like this. And much more. You can look at it a little bit like the carpets category, but much more synthetic and weird. The last category, it's not even a category, but the last thing you can do is you can place this on user, and then you can just simply drag and drop your own samples in here. You can, it's a really cool thing. You can mix your samples with the samples from Dystopia. You can bring your samples completely, like you can have just use the engine with only your samples. Choice is up to you. This is available to you as well. So just drag and drop whatever you want in here. Of course, it needs to make sense in context, but you know what you want to do, right? You can just get creative. So this is the essence of it. This is basically what this thing does and is meant to be doing. The edit view is really the heart of this instrument. But of course, you also have an effects page. Many of the snapshots don't even use effects. Many of them do, but I just wanted to say that sometimes you don't even need it because you already made your scene without effects. But let's load something. I'm sure this probably has something. Yeah. So this effects section in this snapshot, it's using Replica, which is in the delay slot. You have 4 slots basically. The first one is a creative slot where you have distortions and other weirdness like a ring modulator and freak. The second slot is modulation effects, chorus, phasers, tape, and other things like that. Third slot, delay slot with 3 kinds of delay. Well, I guess it's 8 because Replica has 5 really distinct types in their own right inside. And a reverb slot where you have 3 types of reverbs with the really, really nice round reverb available to you. It's my favorite one to use, basically. But yeah, so you have this really elaborate effects section. You can also turn and turn off the entire effects to hear whatever sound you're working on dry. Let's quickly go over the option space because it's quite quick. Over here on the bottom, you have a quick sort of manual with little tidbits of information. You have the credits and you have a little bit of a story diary that we put together over here. It's a fun read. Maybe just have a read. You can turn animations on and off. I kept it off for this video because it's really, really hard to see. When I was uploading another example, you can't really see this. The encoding of the video from YouTube kind of removes, but you have these little subtle noises over here that are happening. Makes it seem like an old television or an old transmission on the graphics side. The reason I am showing this here is just to note for people that might be asking, this doesn't really affect your CPU performance. So you can keep the animations on. It's totally fine. It's negligible, completely negligible. The only reason to turn it off is if it simply annoys you. If somehow you don't like things being animated, you can simply turn it off. This parameter saves with the instrument and not with presets. So you can turn it off, resave the instrument one time, and it'll stay off when you load presets. But more importantly, on this page, you have your external modulation, which includes the mod wheel and the pitch bend. If you think about it, things like keyboard tracking and velocity tracking, it doesn't really make sense for such an instrument, right? Like, what is there really to track in velocity if you're expected to play a note and hold it for 10 minutes? But what does make sense is the mod wheel and the pitch bend, and you can control various things with the mod wheel, including the layer LFOs, the layer volumes, the filter controls, and with the pitch bend, what is cool is that you can give a different pitch bend range for each one of the layers. So I think we even have a nice example. If I go here to pitch I think it's not in this category. Hang on. Let's leave the dreams category. Let's go to all categories, and let's search for pitch. Yeah, dual pitch bender. So you can see this example. We have 3 layers going on here. The third layer is not being affected by the pitch bender, but layer 1 and layer 2 are, and they're being affected the opposite ways. So if I pull the pitch bender up, it's gonna pull layer 1 up, but it's gonna pull layer 2 down. And if I go the opposite way, it's gonna do the opposite thing. Let's quickly hear it. It's gonna be really subtle. But it's a really interesting way to affect the sound. Let's be not so subtle for a second. And of course, you can do it across all your layers, and yeah, whatever gets that creative thing going for that particular sound. So that's mostly it. That's the synthesis of this thing. Maybe let's have some fun with it. Let's create maybe a snapshot of our own, and then maybe let's hear some other snapshots, and then maybe let's close this thing. So let's go back to init. Let's go to init all. Init all just basically puts things on the various categories and turns everything off, so effects and everything else. And then maybe let's do something that I know kind of works, that I've done before, so we can kind of be quick about it. Let's go to the outside category, and something I like to do, somehow I got hooked on this, I don't know, I like going to the lake sounds. Yeah, let's start off with this one. You see it's 1 minute 37 seconds long. And how about we add a helicopter on top? Now, of course, I'm not going to be creating maybe, I don't know, let's see what happens. I'm just saying maybe it's not the most beautiful scene ever. I'm kind of being random about it and quick, but just to show how the layering goes. So now we have the lake, and now we're going to have the helicopter on top. And yeah, meanwhile, let's add something. I told you I like adding these tonal things underneath. Let's do that. So let's go to the Porphyria category. Let's turn on just the first one, and then maybe select something else. So yeah, actually that's nice. How about we layer it with another atmosphere? And what I want to do, I want to give the whole thing some overall volume, but by increasing the saturator, not by increasing the volume. So let's hear it. And how about this? These 2 layers we bring in and out of the mix. So I'm going to go to the volume LFO. I'm going to give it some speed, but notice that even like here, what is it? A bit more than a fourth of the knob. It's really slow, 0.18 hertz, which is what I want. And I want to keep, yeah, let's keep this one even, you know what, even slower. And how about we make it so that it rains, on our lake. We have a sample here in the carpets category. It's actually fire and rain. So it's layered samples of fire and water, but I'm going to use it here for this example. Let's hear it in solo. And how about we add one last thing here? I was thinking of, I know we have these frog samples. And again, we didn't really use we didn't use effects. We didn't use even a lot of the LFOs. We didn't even use the main filters, but we got a really cute scene going on here. Let's maybe listen to some of the presets. So let's go to the Dreams category, which is a category I really like. And let's see if I can find some stuff that I personally like. So I really like this Faceless Depth preset. Let's try that. And you know what? Let's turn on drone mode. And I won't be talking for a little bit. And let's listen to it for a couple minutes. I think that one really, really shows the potential. Let's see what else we have. So this particular one, remember I said before about the Twilight category, so check this out. It's all 6 layers are just playing weird stuff from radio. So obviously we called it Dystopia Diary, but this is just one story that you can tell. You can do, of course, super positive things.
बोलो बाबा के नगरिया में जय जय सीतारा बम बम बाबा के नगरिया में.
Or even things like just tons of cows being cows. Let's create one last scene from the military category. So let's go to our init bank. I'm going to go to init military. It's going to put all our layers on the military category. We can later move to other layers. It's just a quick way to start off. So what I want to do is I'm going to choose some fireworks. And let's see. Let's look for something with some meat like this. And I'm going to pitch it down just a little bit, so it sounds somewhat like explosions. Let's look for another helicopter, maybe not the one we used before. How about an alarm? But how about we don't let the alarm constantly play loud? We take it in and out of the mix. And how about we add something like a UAV flying by? This one looks maybe a little aggressive. Some like longer flyby maybe. And I'm going to go to the transport category, and I'm going to take I'm going to take motorbike, even though so we're going to fake like tanks passing by. Well, not fake. We have some tank samples as well. We can put that in. So we have ourselves a little military scene. So that's it. That's Dystopia Diary. I hope you really enjoyed this instrument. The MSRP is $60. It's nothing for this. It's a no-brainer. The amount of samples you get, 1,800 open samples with this incredible engine, with the amount of snapshots and additional snapshots that will also be coming. And you might even find it on sale for a little less. Just go for it. Enjoy the samples. Enjoy Dystopia Diary. Get creative. Create some amazing scenes and some amazing sounds. We're super excited to show this to you. I've been collecting these sounds for over 20 years, and finally it's come together into an instrument. See you later. Thanks for watching.